Welcome to Psyched Up Cinema. Where film and psychology meet. With my background in psychology, criminal justice, and social work, and John's background in film production, it makes for one interesting show. Join us as we combine our interests to examine psychological topics and how movies use them really well. Or really poorly. Prepare to be psyched up.
Bonjour, everyone. Welcome back to Psyched Up Cinema. I am one of your hosts, John.
And I'm the other host, Kate. And you just said bonjour in the whitest way I've ever heard it said.
I am not French,
What?
so I'm
Are you
Irish.
sure?
I'm a white
Irish.
Irish white boy. Irish. That should be the new name. Welcome back to the show. This week we are talking about Beauty and the Beast, 1991. We are not covering the remake, reboot, whatever you want to call it.
It was good, though.
Not as good as this. But so we're gonna be talking about the movie. What are we talking about the movie?
We're talking about Stockholm Syndrome. I think that's a pretty well-known topic that people relate to Beauty and the Beast, but we're going to be talking about how that's actually really controversial and kind of wrong.
Yep.
And what even is Stockholm Syndrome? Because I think there's a lot of misunderstandings out there.
Yeah, I think a lot of people like to throw around the term.
Well, similar to how people throw around other psychological terms like, oh, I'm so OCD. I'm so ADHD. I'm so manic.
Manic. But as always, we're going to be talking about some fun facts, general things of the movie, and then what we think of the movie, and then Stockholm Syndrome and how it does or it doesn't apply to Beauty and the Beast. Ooh. But before we get started, if you're enjoying the show, please consider sharing us on social media or telling somebody. That would be great. Trying to grow the show a little bit.
Or leaving us a nice comment.
Yes, please leave us a comment, please.
We need some feedback
we
over
want
here.
Interaction. If you have any episode ideas or even just feedback on the episode, more than welcome. Please leave us a comment.
Please do.
But with that being said, let's hop into Beauty and the Beast.
Awesome.
1991. So, this movie, for context, we are recording this November 23rd. Beauty and the Beast released November 22nd, 1991. So this movie is 33 years old. So
I did not know it was that old.
yeah, it doesn't feel that old.
No,
feels
it
like
doesn't.
It feels like a late 90s
I feel
movie.
like animation in some senses has gone backwards. Like
Why?
some newer animated movies look like absolute dog shit.
Like Joker 2.
What?
But anyways, released November 2nd, 1991. Directed by Gary Trousdale and Kirk Wise. Starred Paige O'Hara as Belle and Robbie Benson as the Beast. As always, money time. We got money time. This movie was made on a budget of $25 million. And how much do you think it made?
Boy, that's a lot of fucking money.
No, it's not. It's
what?
not. I mean, okay, for 1991, it's probably a decent amount, but it's not like a ton of money.
Really?
No.
Shit.
Well, I mean, put it in this context. In the Mouth of Madness is like a lower budget movie, and that was made for like for either $2 or $14 million. So whatever that, I think it was like 7 to 14.
I just feel like that's a lot of money. You're not, I mean, you have to pay the voice actors, obviously, and the animators.
Well, you don't have to pay
But-
animators, so. uh,
Controversial. Maybe we should be paying animators.
No, what? Okay, that's a joke. I think we should definitely pay animators and CGI artists because they are just used and abused in our industry. So I have
And
to
they're
clarify that's a
not
joke.
AI.
And they're not AI. So fuck AI. Anyways, how much do you think this made worldwide?
Are we talking when it first released? Or are we talking total?
Total. But
fuck.
theater releases only, so not home video.
Okay. Oh, God. I have no concept.
It made in the US 218 million and then 451 million worldwide.
Shit.
So that 25 million was really well spent.
Yeah, I guess so.
The movie's reception. How did you think the movie was received upon release in 1991, November 22nd?
Well, I wasn't alive then. But I would say it was received well.
That is correct. The movie received really well upon release. So much so that it got nominated for a couple Oscars. It won Best Original Song, Beauty and the Beast, at the Oscars.
Valid.
And then it was the first animated film to be nominated for Best Picture, which is kind of a
Really?
big deal because at the time the Oscars only had 5 Best Picture nominees, and now it's like 8 or 10 or something like that.
Mm.
So to be part of like the threshold to make it in the top 5 for an animated movie is a really big deal, and it never happened again until 2009's Pixar movie.
Cars.
No.
Shrek.
That is not Pixar.
Oh, fuck. Oh, you're right. That's DreamWorks. Toy Story.
Up. Yep,
Huh.
2009. But speaking of something you just mentioned, the Best Animated Film category was first awarded in 2002. So that category didn't exist till 2002. What movie won the first Best Picture animated movie?
Shrek.
Shrek.
Well deserved.
So yeah,
That movie aged so well.
has aged really well. Some would argue better than this, but I disagree. So, but that's all really the facts that we had about it. Kind of kept it basic this week. But so, what do we think about this movie? I should clarify that this is my pick. I love Disney princess movies.
I think we can tell.
I love Disney princess movies. Maybe potentially at the end of the episode, I can go through the ranking of all my princesses.
He's very serious about this.
I am very serious. And I've only ranked the official princesses because some of them are not official. Like I forget what her name is from Hercules. She is not an official princess. She's like a side princess. And Elsa Elsa and Anna make too much money, so they
make too much money?
I swear, like they don't put them in the princess category because Frozen as an IP just makes so much money.
So they're not counted as
Nope.
princesses because they make too much money?
I mean, they're technically princesses, but they're not Disney
isn't
princesses.
Elsa a queen?
I guess you could look at it that way, but Anna is a princess. Also,
Yes, she is.
those movies, I don't really like them. I think they're kind of boring.
The first one was all right. The second one was boring.
I don't remember a single goddamn thing about the first one. Or the second one, I mean.
Me neither. I think
Anyway,
that was the one with the rock people.
I think they both have the rock people.
I think they had it more in the second movie. I don't know. It was boring.
It was pretty boring. Anyways, I love Beauty and the Beast. It's my favorite Disney princess movie. What do you think of the movie?
I enjoyed it. I think it has some of the best music of any Disney princess movie, but I don't see it as being the strongest storyline.
I disagree.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, well, I don't know, like, what would be the strongest storyline, but, like,
Hmm.
I think this movie has really good characters. I like Belle a lot. I think Gaston is a really good villain. Um, the, like, side characters aren't fucking annoying, which is an issue that a lot of Disney princess movies surprisingly run into. There's always, like,
Which
those
one?
I would pull up my list, but there's always, like, the one creature friend, you know what I mean? That's, like, there.
Yeah.
You know what creature I fucking hate? That stupid fucking chicken from Moana. That's just
Okay, that's valid criticism. The
Um,
chicken is kind of annoying.
the Eddie Murphy in Mulan is really good. There's a good trend between me liking these movies and the side characters being good.
Interesting. They're that distracting to you when they
I mean,
suck.
they're big characters. I mean, we just watched
I
Princess and the
mean, the
Frog.
chicken in Moana, is it really
He's
that
so
central
fucking
to the
annoying. Oh my
story?
god. Well, he's just there to do jokes, and his jokes aren't funny. I mean, like,
I don't think that takes away from the rest of the movie, though. I
well,
really like that movie.
I don't really like Moana that much. So.
You're just wrong.
But like we just watched Princess and the Frog. I think all those side characters are really good. I really like all of them. The gator and
I
like the
love him.
firefly. Those just have really good characters. And like I don't think Beauty and the Beast is like my favorite like side characters. They're kind of like all right for me, but like they aren't annoying.
This may come as a surprise to you. I'm going to say, after watching Princess and the Frog for the first time, I think it's my favorite Disney princess movie.
Yeah, but do you have a list of all of them on your letterbox?
Let me make this abundantly clear. I am never making a letterbox account. Never. I will die on that hill. Period.
You know, Pocahontas is pretty good side characters. It has like the raccoon.
I
Raccoon's pretty
haven't
chill.
seen that movie since I was like 10.
Pocahontas is underrated in my opinion. But anyways, let's go back and stay on topic here. I really like this movie, as I said a few times. I think this movie also looks beautiful. Like
It
the 2D
does.
animation on it looks really good. And also like the 4K restorations that they done on it just like make it so vibrant.
Is that the version that we watched?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like it's so colorful and when it isn't colorful, it is like that deep, stark like contrast. Like
Yeah.
you notice it immediately. And the
The
movie is really colorful.
ambiance.
Yeah, exactly. And the movie is really colorful until you get to Beast Palace, and then it turns from like warmer colors to like this fucking dark
Gray.
blue. Yeah, and everything's kind of flat. And the only people that really do stand out, or I should say things, are the side characters. They don't really blend in. They do stand out. And the only one that actually really does kind of blend in is the Beast almost, because he wears like the blue outfit. He kind of blends in with the environment. I shouldn't say blends in, but he fits more the color palette.
You know, I do wonder, and maybe I'm reading too much into this. Maybe that was intentional to make him sound like he's kind of just thrown his hands up and accepted his circumstances and said, whatever.
Right.
Because he
And-
stopped trying to be transformed back to his original self. He was kind of like, "Psh, whatever."
Exactly. And I think I'm going to come back to that point later because I know we're going to have a discussion about
Wow.
something.
Look at me. I'm ahead of the schedule.
I'll come back
here.
to that. Making sure we're recording. So, movie looks really good. I think it is really colorful. Something I'll kind of throw this in because I had noticed it earlier. But Beast wears that blue outfit, but he has like that long red cape when you first meet him. But once he falls in love with Belle, the red goes away and it's just the blue,
Interesting.
which is interesting because Belle starts off wearing the blue and Gaston wears all red and he never changes from that red. So I'm not sure if maybe it's a confliction between like some form of like toxic masculinity or like some like macho manness that like Gaston,
Ego.
yeah, ego. That's a good way of putting it. That like Gaston represents,
Mm.
mixing with seeing the beauty in things, like that Belle does, or like the nuances that Belle sees in her life.
See, I find I always enjoy the movies that we watch after we talk about the symbolism and all the in-depth meaning because I feel like I need to watch a movie multiple times or have a good conversation about it to really be able to see all of the
Right.
work that goes into it.
Right, and I've seen this movie so many times within the past years, so, like, every time I'm watching it, I'm clocking something different, and something I kinda struggle to put meaning behind, not, like, in a bad way, not, like, saying, like, it's meaningless, that's kind of a bad way to put it, but, like, Belle changes her outfit from the blue, and then once Beast, like, shows her the library, she wears, like, this, like, green, and then at the end, when they have their dance, she's wearing, like, a yellow dress. So I'm wondering if that green dress is kind of like a symbolism between, like, transferring over to, like, loving the Beast, like, kind of like
Well, blue plus yellow equals
it's green.
green.
Yeah, so
So maybe it's like a representation of that intermediate phase where she's starting to change her perspective on him.
right. So I did notice a lot of the outfits, especially like the color of the outfits on this watch, and I feel like that's a nice way, especially since going back to it, the movie is so vibrant and the
Yeah.
color palettes are so distinguishable. Having those characters change those outfit colors, because I mean, like they don't have to change. I mean, a lot of the Disney princess movies or Disney movies in general, they just wear the same outfits. Like they
Yeah.
don't really change or anything like that. So they made the distinct choice of making them change their outfits, changing their colors from like the moods that they're in or what they're feeling in the story.
I do wonder why they don't really use that as much in the other movies.
Because they're not as good as this one. That's why.
Because that means that their outfit colors are less iconic if they change them.
Maybe. I
But I feel like Belle's yellow dress and her blue dress are both extremely iconic.
I love her blue dress. I think her standard NPC blue dress is awesome. I do really like that
I
dress.
like that dress a
And
lot.
obviously the yellow one is beautiful too. Like that one is they saved that for the end of the movie, and you can see why because it looks really good.
I want an excuse to wear a gigantic dress like that. I have no use for one, but boy, would I like to put one on.
Yeah, the Beast isn't really like fitted. He wears like the same outfit, but
Oh,
he just drops the cape. He leaves the cape at a certain point. Forget where he leaves it. It might be when he saves Belle
I was
from the
gonna say in the
attackers.
woods.
Right. Um, but something, you know what? I'm gonna mention this now because we mentioned the side characters. So for some reason, in like the Blu-ray version, they kept the scene where the candle implies like making out or like doing the fuck with like the
The
duster.
duster,
Yeah,
yeah.
they cut that out on Disney Plus. Why the hell did they cut the candle fuck? Like it's such a
That's inappropriate.
it's why would you cut that out? And it's like you could make the argument that it's like, oh, it's not important. But like the joke comes back at the end when they all turn humans because then she was like flirts with him by like putting the duster in his face.
Hmm.
Disney censoring my candle fucking.
I'm a little bit concerned by how hung up you are on that point. Why that's so significant to you, I'll never understand.
Well, I mean, like, it's why would you cut it out?
I don't
It's
know.
it's a stupid thing
Disney
not
makes
to
a
cut out.
lot of stupid decisions. You're really gonna harp on that one?
That's true. Well, I think it plays into a larger discussion of censorship. Uh, That's more so the part of it. It's like,
Mm,
why cut that one bit out? It's kind of stupid,
it is stupid.
but that's just my opinion. I think we should all have the candle fuck cut. So
Candle fucks for all. I'm putting that on a billboard. That's
But
going to be my campaign to counter censorship in media.
put the candle fuck back in Beauty and the Beast on Disney Plus.
Make
not sure-
Beauty and the Beast candle fuck again.
I'm not sure, like, if I just like missed it, but like I had noticed, like, at a certain point, I was like, "Where is it?" Like, it was like it's somewhere.
I don't think that you would have missed it, given how much time you spent looking for it.
Well, okay, I didn't spend any time looking for it. I didn't rewind the movie to try to find my candle fuck. So let's clear that up.
Mm-hmm.
Firstly, number one. Also, this made me think of this, but Aladdin has like a disclaimer when you start the movie on Disney Plus, and it's like, this movie is not realistic. It is not true. It's
What?
like, yeah, no shit.
Do they think that kids are gonna grab their rug in the living room and just try to go flying with it by jumping off a roof with it?
Well, it's some like it's because Robin Williams in the beginning of the movie does like an Indian like impression. He's playing like a store merchant that's supposed to be the genie, but he's putting on like an Indian accent. So like Disney was trying to feel like, look, guys, like, we know this hasn't aged well, but it's like I feel like Aladdin has probably aged a lot better than some of the other shit that Disney's put out.
Yeah. That's what we're gonna call
Yeah.
unrealistic about Disney princess movies? Okay. Okay.
But speaking of best song, what is your favorite song in the whole movie? As a music person, because I don't think anyone knows this, but you have like, what is it, 10, 15 years of experience with music?
Oh man. How long ago was fourth grade? Third grade? Yeah, third grade. How old are you in third grade? 8?
Yeah, because I think you're 6 in first grade. Also depends on when you're born, but
16 years? Something like that?
okay. So you have
15,
16 years of
16
music.
years?
So, with all your wise experience in music,
I'm such a music expert.
what is your favorite song in this movie?
I gotta give it to the opening song
I like the opening song too. That's what I
when
was gonna
she's
pick.
walking around reading.
And it just sets up everything so nicely.
It does. It gives you a look through the town and what's most important to Belle, and it sets up the storyline with Gaston. It's so good.
Yep. And it also foreshadows to that she doesn't discover that he's the prince until
Mhm.
chapter 3. So nice little foreshadowing there. I also like the Gaston song in
That's a
the
good one.
tavern. I really like that song. Do you have any other songs that you like in the movie?
I like when Mrs. Potts sings her song.
Oh,
That's a
Beauty
good
and the
one too.
Beast.
Yeah.
Hot take.
Don't you dare.
I don't really like that song that much.
What's wrong with you?
Okay. All right. I don't hate that song. I just don't think it's one of the better ones in the movie. That's what I'm saying. I do think
And you also think Be Our Guest is overrated.
I was just about to say I think Be Our Guest is the worst song in the movie.
Worst?
Okay. All right. It is the worst song, but every song in that movie is good. So it's not like I'm saying like that song is bad. I'm saying that song is the worst one out of all the
The
other good
least
songs.
good.
The least good. Yeah, it's a good way of putting it.
Mhm.
Not like shitting on Alan Menken or anything like that because I love him and he makes really good music. I just think everything else he made for that movie is better than that song. Like the opening song.
Shame on you.
Well, why do you like Be Our Guest?
I think it sets up how hard all of what were they, servants
Yeah.
before? How hard they're trying to get them together and how they're willing to jump through hoops to be hospitable, to make her have a good time.
Right. And I think the animation during that song is beautiful too.
It's
There's a
so
lot of
good.
even parts in that like set piece.
And it kind of shows off all of their personalities and why they're there to begin with and how desperately they want to get back to that.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Uh speaking of trying to get them together.
Don't you talk about Candlefuck again.
So I think you and I have had a little bit of discussion of this off the recording. Do you believe in the relationship between Beast and Belle?
What do
Or
you mean believe in it?
do you think it's a real relationship? And do you think he comes around at the end?
What do you mean real relationship?
Like, do you think they both actually love each other?
I do. I do. But do I think that they should love each other? No, not really.
But this-
I'm sorry. But if somebody took a family member that I loved very dearly and held them hostage, and my only option to get them away from that situation was to make myself the captor, I think I'd hold a bit of a grudge.
Yeah, but I think she still holds a grudge against him. I mean, she tries to run away, but then he saves her from the wolves.
Let me pull a quote. Hold up. I've prepared for this moment because I knew this was going to come up. Okay. So this is the interaction in the woods. Belle is washing the beast's wounds. He says, "That hurts." She says, "If you hold still, it wouldn't hurt as much." Beast, "Well, if you hadn't run away, this wouldn't have happened." Belle, "If you hadn't frightened me, I wouldn't have run away." Beast, "Well, you shouldn't have been in the West Wing." Belle, "Well, you should learn to control your temper." And then she finally is able to wash his wounds while he's bitching about it. And she says, "By the way, thank you for saving my life." And he says, "You're welcome." I think he's an asshole.
I mean, he is an asshole. I mean, I'm not denying that he's an asshole. I think he comes around at the end.
He blames her for everything.
Yeah, he blames everything on everyone. That's the point of him. He doesn't take any responsibility.
Zero accountability.
Yeah, but that's why the payoff at the end is so
But
impactful.
do you really think that he's holding himself completely accountable for the situation he's in by the end?
I wouldn't say completely, but I would say
I don't
more
think
so
he's
than the
worthy
beginning.
of her love.
I think that's debatable. I think he's more deserving of it than Gaston and anyone in
Well,
the town.
yeah. Gaston fucking just wants her as a status symbol and sent her dad off to the insane asylum.
Right. But he does that so he could force marry her.
Yeah.
But at the same time, on the other side of the coin, at that same point in the movie or right before, Beast just like lets her go. And he knows that that would screw over his servants and himself to being stuck like that forever.
See, I don't view that as an act of selflessness because, in my opinion, at that point, he had decided this situation is hopeless. I'm not going to get what I want out of this situation. I'm not going to be able to change back. This isn't going to fix anything. She's not going to love me. Why would I waste my time? Just get out. because she ends up being a painful reminder of what he can't have. So he's like, just fucking leave.
I don't agree with that though, because they have the whole dance scene, they have the ball because that's directly after the ballroom scene, and then he says like, "Are you happy here?" And she says, "Yes, but I miss my dad." He could have just been like, "Oh well, damn," because she didn't know the mirror existed, and he was like, "Hey."
Yeah, but considering how much she was missing her dad and her life outside of the castle, he wasn't going to get her to authentically fall in love with him while also holding her captive. She was never going to be completely happy and able to be in love with him if she was still held to the constraints of the castle against her will.
But is the break of the curse? Yeah, it is her loving. I wasn't sure if it was a kiss or a love. Okay. I get where you're coming from, but I still don't fully agree with it. I understand that you think that like she wouldn't be able to love him fully if she wasn't free, and that very well may be the case. But I partially don't think so.
Allow me to make a parallel. She's not going to fall in love with Gaston. 1, because he's a douchebag. 2, he wants her for a self-serving purpose. And she knows that. Same with the Beast.
That's true, but I feel like Beast has been more in a hopeless situation. I feel like the servants more so want to get out of the situation rather than the Beast turning back to normal.
100%. But they rely on him.
Right.
They're
But
like, fuck. Our fate is up to this asshole.
but the crux of the movie isn't like, or does Belle need to fall in love with the servants? Because that doesn't matter. Belle needs to fall in love with the Beast, but Beast is more so in a hopeless situation where I don't think him loving her is a selfish thing.
Why?
Because I don't think he cares whether or not he's the Beast or he's back to normal. I think he's already given up.
I think he has given up, but with all the effort and the servants trying to convince him, he was like, okay, fine, I'll give it a try. And he was like, maybe there is a little hope here. Maybe it's worth a shot. That's
Right.
how I took it, is they convinced him to have a little hope that maybe they could fall in love and he could go back to normal.
Right. I think there's a point in the movie, though, where he's just doing it because they're saying it and he's doing it because he genuinely likes her. I think everything up to when she's cleaning his wounds is like the servants being like, you should do this, and he's like incapable of faking it. Like he's like, he pretends to be fine, and then when she doesn't want to come down for dinner, he like flips out, even though he's like this, even though Lumiere is like, just chill out, man. And then he's like flipping out.
Whoa, just take it easy, man.
Yo, take it easy, man. But once Belle cleans his wounds, I think he gains like, I should say, like respect for her.
While he's bitching at her for it and saying, well, this wouldn't have happened if you didn't run away, blaming her for his actions again.
Yeah, because he's still an asshole at that point.
I think he's always an asshole.
I don't think he's always an asshole. I think he comes around. I don't think, okay, like, I'm not going to say, like, he is, like,
I
pure
think
of heart.
that he does genuinely grow to love her, but not fully in the way that she deserves. I think he's still egotistical at the end.
Okay, well, look, Belle definitely deserves the best, like me, so.
I'm not going to comment on that.
I think this is going to sound really bad. Given her options, Beast is definitely the best person there.
Oh, boy. Makes me think of that South Park episode where they have to choose between a douche and a turd for their school mascot.
I mean, yeah, that kind of is the situation.
But does
But
that make that a good, healthy relationship?
no, but I'm not saying my argument isn't that they have a great relationship. Their relationship is founded on a bad thing. My argument's more so I think Beast comes around. I don't think he's like the greatest person of all time, but I think he comes around and I think he does genuinely. I would say whether or not he deserves Belle's love is a different question, but I think he earns it. But not that's a bad word to put it because earn is a very rapey word. But like
Yeah.
he makes character progression to try and earn it. Rather than
Yeah.
Gaston, where he's just like, I'm just gonna send her dad in a fucking asylum.
What I really don't like about him is that he very much approaches things like, I deserve your forgiveness. I deserve your time. Like
Right,
when he gets mad about her not coming down for dinner, he's like, well, I put in all this effort and you
right.
didn't show up. Because I put in this effort, that makes me worthy of your time.
But I think at that point he's still an asshole. Like I would say everything up until when they're like doing the snowball fight or he shows her the library. I forget which one comes first. Um, I think that's really when his character shifts in between being a self-loathing asshole and like genuinely liking her and like trying to like earn her love for his own sake rather than like changing back into being a human.
I think he does grow to genuinely like and care for her. I think partially because she's so strong willed.
Yeah, she is. That's why she's my favorite too. So
Because she doesn't just go, okay, well, I'm here. I might as well give you my time.
right.
She makes him work for it.
Yeah.
But do I think that makes it a healthy relationship? No, because she shouldn't have to demand him to act better.
Right. And I don't think it's founded on a healthy relationship. I'm definitely not saying
No.
like, oh yeah, it's great. But like I think more so the argument is like if it's a real love. And I think it is. And I do think part of the difference where you and I think you still think Beast is still an asshole. And he
Yeah.
is still an asshole. But I think he is way, way better than what he was at the start. And I think you
He's
do see the character
better.
progression.
I think part of the issue is the constraints within a movie runtime. Like,
Yeah.
you're not going to see them, "Oh, okay, now that the curse is broken, let's explore what our relationship looks like outside of being held captive in this castle."
Right. I mean, yeah, you are limited to that. And the movie is only like 96 minutes or something like that. I think it's pretty
Yeah.
short. So there is that plays into part of it. So I don't think you really get a true answer unless you saw how the relationship looks when he's a human. Does he go back to his old beast form or does
That's the
he like
thing. I don't know if he's made enough progress to not then go back to being a douche because he got what he wanted. I think he would still be in love with her and somewhat kind to her, but I don't think she would get the respect that she deserves from him.
right? We'll never know.
Please,
we can only theorize.
please, Disney, don't make a second one.
I actually think
Don't.
there probably is one. I think there's a straight to video one or something like that because they love
Is there
making the straight to
actually?
video.
Can we fact check that?
Uh, okay. I'm not sure if this is true. Let me check. Let me check this one more time. Okay. It's got a 13% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh,
So came
oh.
out 1991. It's called Beauty and the Beast: The Enchanted Christmas. He's still the Beast for some reason,
What?
and Belle looks nothing like Belle.
Wait, show me.
I mean, she's white and brunette, but like that's about it. Doesn't look anything like her.
That looks like shit.
Well, it, like I said, has a 13% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That communicates to me that either one, she was held captive for way longer than we think. If this is supposed to take place in the middle of the first movie, or he relapsed. The old lady came back.
And then there's another one, Belle's Magical World, 1998. Belle must adjust to her new life as a princess. She learns about love, life, friendship as she retells three special tales based on those who live in the castle. But Beast is still Beast.
What?
That's what I don't get. So she's a princess, but Beast is still Beast. She's not technically a princess until
They get married.
they get married. These don't make any goddamn sense, so we're not counting them.
They should not have made those. That was really stupid.
There's so many of these straight to video ones.
They were really milking the money cow with that.
We should watch these.
No, don't do that to me.
But yeah, so to wrap it up, to clarify, because I think rethinking some of my comments, I need to like streamline it because I'm still thinking about that earn comment I said, and I'm trying to make sure that make it sound as R-worded as possible. So, moral of the story: does Beast deserve Belle's love? Probably not, but I do think he comes around, and I do think he learns his lessons.
I think he's on his way to being a better person that's worthy of love.
Yeah, that's kind of what I think. Like he was a horrible person. I think he still probably has some of those traits, but like you're saying, I think he's on his way. But we'll never know because we'll never watch any of the straight to video movies ever where he's still Beast for some reason. But like, how can you make a Beauty and the Beast sequel just be Beauty and the Beauty unless you make him Beast again?
Beauty and the regular everyday guy.
What if the sequel was about candle fucking?
Oh my God.
Hear me out.
Candle in the duster.
Candle in the duster. So, shall we talk about Stockholm Syndrome?
Indeed.
Or lack thereof, should we say?
We're going to require some background information here because honestly, before I started researching it, I didn't have a good grasp on what it is either. So.
Well, I knew everything about it, so.
Yeah, okay. Mr. Psychology over here.
Yeah, I got useless degree, and then
Okay. So, according to clevelandclinic.org, here's a basic definition of Stockholm Syndrome. Stockholm Syndrome is a coping mechanism to a captive or abusive situation. People develop positive feelings towards their captors or abusers over time. This condition applies to situations including child abuse, coach-athlete abuse, relationship abuse, and sex trafficking. However, there's no actual diagnostic criteria because it's not in the DSM.
And what is the DSM for those who
The
don't know?
Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. 5th edition.
Well, 5th
Text
edition.
revision.
Whoa.
Yeah, we're on 5TR over here.
When did they drop in the sequel?
I would love to know that myself. Because Because there are some interesting conditions on the chopping block for the next one.
Isn't there like gamer disorder or something like
Yes,
that?
internet gaming disorder.
Get worried, kids. You're gonna be diagnosed with gamer disorder. So
Epic gamer disorder. Fortnite disease.
Fortnite Battle Pass.
According to the Free Medical Dictionary. Oh, is it the freedictionary.com? But this is the medical edition. It says that Stockholm Syndrome is a descriptive term for a pattern of coping with a traumatic situation rather than a diagnostic category. Most psychiatrists would use the diagnostic criteria for acute stress disorder or post-traumatic stress disorder when evaluating a person that shows signs of Stockholm Syndrome, whatever that really is. And this webpage talks about some general characteristics that make up Stockholm Syndrome. However, like I said, not in the DSM. There's no widely accepted definition or diagnostic criteria or anything. So it's so subjective that I don't think it's right to put that label on someone. Because all it is a term to describe a set of coping mechanisms to deal with the traumatic situation. And part of the debate here is that it pathologizes survival skills.
Okay.
Like, if we're talking about somebody in an abusive relationship, maybe that person had to pretend that they liked their abuser in order to avoid being abused. Or maybe their abuser was love bombing them in between periods of abuse because, as we know, abusive relationships aren't purely abusive. Like a vast majority of the time.
Yeah.
There are things that make that relationship good, and those things can keep people in those situations. So it's not like they love this horrendous person with no good in them. They may be holding on to the little bits of goodness that they see. Like, let's say, for instance, an abuser hits their girlfriend. Maybe they come back and they go, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I can't believe I did that. I'll never do that again. Buys them a dozen roses and treats them like they're royalty for the next month. How could that not make you feel a type of way?
Right.
You know? And it feels kind of dismissive to pathologize that because it makes sense for them to be like, oh, okay, you're being nice to me now.
Right. And I think Stockholm Syndrome kind of has like a negative connotation on a victim.
It does.
Sounds like, oh, you have Stockholm Syndrome. And it's like, all right, well,
Yeah.
maybe we should not worry about that and worry about the abusive relationship or being held captive rather than putting a term on somebody who is trying to cope with the situation.
Yeah, why don't we draw attention to the abuser that's using things like love bombing to keep someone in that situation?
It would be like somebody going through like the 5 stages of grief and then being like, you just have loser disorder. Like,
okay, this is a conversation that got me so heated in grad school because there's actually a diagnostic criteria for a condition called prolonged grief disorder. So there comes a point where your grief is now considered a mental health disorder. Hello? Is that not a fucking problem? We're now calling people being sad about someone dying a problem? A mental disorder?
You got 6 weeks to grief.
Yeah,
and after
that's
that, you're
literally what it does. You're
That's so
not allowed
stupid.
to be sad anymore. Get over it. And I feel like part of that is so based in American culture because we very much push people to get over their grief and move on. Go back to work. Your husband died a month ago. Get over it already. You know,
Right.
we don't give people time off of work to grieve in the way that we should, because I mean, a month after someone dies, they deserve to be grieving them.
Right.
I don't remember off the top of my head how long people have to grieve before it's considered a mental health condition, but that's all
Yeah,
fucked up.
it is. It's stupid.
Because in my opinion, we don't move on from grief. We don't leave that in the past. We find room to incorporate it into our day-to-day lives.
Right. And something
I'll
something
die
my
on that hill.
something my mom has said, because she lost someone that was close to her. She was saying that, like, it's something that you, like, learn to live with, but you're never the same person after.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's a good way of looking at grief, is that, like, you can move past it, but, like, you won't be the same because that person's gone. So,
It goes with you. I
exactly.
like the phrase, we don't, what is it? It's like, we don't grow away from grief, we grow around it.
Right.
It becomes a part of who you are to reflect on those memories and to miss that person.
Right.
Because people and animals, another beef I have with prolonged grief disorder is it only pertains to people. It does not recognize animal death or grief that comes up when you're, anticipatory grief, when you're actively losing someone,
Mhm.
but they're still alive.
Right. But hey, remember Stockholm syndrome? Remember this is talking about Stockholm syndrome?
We're probably going to have to cut a lot of this. Okay. Anyway, most experts, according to that medical free dictionary website, most medical experts agree that Stockholm syndrome has 3 central characteristics. 1, the hostages have negative feelings about the police or other authorities.
That's such a random thing.
Yeah.
It's such like a
Well, I'm
weird
going to get
category.
into why, because this very much is relevant to the incident that this condition is named after.
Okay.
2, the hostages have positive feelings towards their captors. Are we implying that everyone who holds someone captive beats them and shows no mercy? Like, I know this isn't real life, but I've seen movies or shows where somebody holds someone at gunpoint with no intention of killing them as a means to an end. And sometimes you can sympathize with that reasoning. Like, if they held a gun to a doctor's head because they needed cancer medications for somebody who is being denied that care.
It's like that Denzel Washington movie, John Q. Remember he like goes into a hospital and he like takes a hostage so he can get like a heart. You ever seen that movie?
No, but I think I've heard of it. But I feel like it's fair to sympathize with them depending on what their reasoning is.
Right.
Are they doing a bad thing? Absolutely. But people are not good and bad in a black or white sense. Everyone has the ability to be good and to be bad.
Yeah.
I think it's just so oversimplified.
Mm-hmm.
And 3, the captors develop positive feelings towards their hostages. Well, maybe they feel bad because they don't want to be doing this. They feel like it's their only option. Once again, are they doing a good thing? No. But they're people.
Right.
They can have feelings too, even if they're doing something shitty. Like, have you ever done something for a purpose that felt justified but still felt really shitty about it? Like, people who cheat on a test. Maybe you absolutely did not study and you needed to pass this test. you're going to feel like shit about it.
Right. Not me, though. I don't feel bad when I cheat on tests. So.
All the tests that you take these days.
all my tests that I take all the time. So.
And FBI researchers have determined that there are 3 factors necessary for Stockholm Syndrome to develop. 1, the crisis lasts for several days or longer. It's a very vague period of time.
Maybe like 5 minutes, a month.
2 years. 2, the hostage takers remain in contact with the hostages. That is, the hostages are not placed in a separate room.
Why does it matter?
That's what I'm saying. That you can talk to someone through a door.
You cannot be in different rooms to love each other.
Then it doesn't count. 3, the hostage takers show some kindness towards the hostages, or at least refrain from harming them. Hostages abused by captors typically feel anger towards them and do not develop Stockholm Syndrome. Once again, very oversimplified, we're saying that people that take other people hostage are not also human beings with feelings towards their actions.
Right.
We're assuming that everyone who does something shitty is doing it in a completely heartless way. That's so oversimplified.
Yeah, it's really stupid.
So, let's get into... Oh, hold on. One more thing. According to independent.co.uk, Stockholm Syndrome is not in the DSM. It's never met the strict review requirements to be included. And in fact, it seems that nobody has ever submitted it for inclusion in the DSM, meaning there are no identified diagnostic criteria at all. There is no one standard for what constitutes Stockholm Syndrome.
So it seems like people are just like, oh, if you get held captive and you like them, that must be Stockholm Syndrome. That seems like it's just like a generic, like, oh, yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So let's get into what exactly coined the term Stockholm Syndrome.
I'm curious.
Any thoughts? Any thoughts?
I'm probably something to do with the police, because you even mentioned pertains to the story. My guess is once upon a time there was a police officer and he held somebody captive, and this person he held captive, she didn't like him, but then they ended up loving each other, but she hated police.
All right. Let's end story time. I'm going to tell you the real story.
Was I close?
No. Convicted criminal Jan Erik Olsen, while on furlough from prison, walked into a bank in Stockholm on the 23rd of August, 1973, and fired into the ceiling and tried to rob it. When police quickly arrived, he took 3 hostages inside the bank, a number that later increased by 1 after another bank employee was found in a storeroom. And he demanded the equivalent of $700,000 in Swedish and foreign currency, as well as the release of an infamously charismatic and handsome criminal he knew from prison. I don't know why they feel the need to talk about how he looks.
I need to get my sexy cellmate out. Get him out.
They probably just wanted to run off together in the sunset.
Probably.
Anyway, this guy's name was Clark Olofsson.
Is Clark the sexy one?
Yes.
Is there a picture? Is he really that sexy?
No. Maybe we could look at that after. This type of armed hostage crisis was unheard of in Sweden. Certainly, the police had no blueprint for such a situation. Jan Erik had disguised his appearance and voice, speaking English with an American accent, and police did not accurately identify him for days. They did, however, bring his old prison friend, Clark, to the bank. They brought his sexy friend to the bank.
James, I will have sex with you, James. Please get out.
But they did it in a very particular kind of way, as a double agent.
I just imagine, like, so wait, so is the sexy cellmate actually there, or is the
Yes.
sexy cellmate? Okay, I was thinking maybe like some cop dressed up as a sexy cellmate and was just like,
No, it was actually
James,
him. Anyway, Jan Erik suddenly found himself in a hostage-taking situation. He intended a quick getaway bank robbery, and now he was in a situation and knew he was stuck. So he demanded that Clark be allowed to come in. And of course, Clark was not an original bank robber or hostage taker, and before the police let Clark go into the bank, they had made an agreement with him that his job was to help the situation be resolved properly and make sure that the people didn't get hurt, and then they might look at reducing his sentence. So things calmed down temporarily when Clark arrived, and Miss Enmark, who I think was one of the hostages, was allowed to make phone calls along with fellow hostages. Okay, so yeah, she's one of the hostages.
Okay.
Then the police made a mistake. They believed that they had positively identified who the bank robber was, but they hadn't.
Oh my God. What year was this?
1973.
Oh my God. I thought this was like the 1300s, like whether 1930s or something like that. What are they doing?
Yeah, 1973.
Oh my God. These cops are so stupid.
Believing him to be another infamous bank robber who had previously escaped from prison, they sent in that bank robber's civilian brother.
Oh my God.
Along with an accompanying cop in an effort to talk their hostage taker down.
When does this get into, like, them falling in love with each other?
This has nothing to do with love. Because Stockholm Syndrome isn't just falling in love. It's having sympathy for.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, like I said, there's no specific criteria. So... See, that's where the confusion comes into play because there's no criteria. A lot of people think that it's only romantic, and it's not. It's having sympathy for. I know. Immediately, confusion reigned.
Oh, no, really? Wow.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought?
That?
Jan Erik fired at the strangers who made a hasty retreat. The bank robber, whose Swedish authorities believed was inside, was actually in Hawaii.
What? How do you mess that up? That's not even close to Sweden. What? You have to literally go all the way around the globe to get to Hawaii.
And this bank robber who was in Hawaii was so mad about the accusation by police that he was behind the heist that he called Swedish police to protest that he was not the hostage taker.
I'm not there right now.
Which got him arrested.
I mean, I'm on my honeymoon.
Extradited and put back in prison. This man was so mad that he was falsely accused of robbing this bank that he called up Swedish police and got his ass thrown back in jail.
This is so stupid. This is such a stupid story.
This is the basis of a condition, I say that very loosely, that so many people believe in.
So, where was Clark? Where's the sexy cellmate? Did he just not show up?
He's in the bank right now.
Okay.
With a cop.
Okay.
They went in together.
Okay.
The other guy fired at them. Or no.
James guy.
No. Clark went in. Jan Erickson, because the cop and the brother of the bank robber who was in Hawaii came in, he fired at them and they retreated. But Clark and Jan Erickson are still in the bank.
Okay.
So
I'm glad we cleared that up.
Surprisingly, none of this inspired confidence in the hostages
What?
that the situation was going to end
Really?
peacefully. And they watched police flounder with increasing concern And so did the rest of Sweden. The crisis was the first televised crime in the country, with nearly 3/4 of the population tuning in.
So we can watch this?
Probably. There are photos in this article.
No way. This is so stupid.
Inside, both Jan Erik and Miss Enmark, Miss Enmark, one of the hostages,
Okay.
rang the Prime Minister of Sweden. Just called him up.
Bro, what are you guys doing? Like,
And he personally took the calls. He spent nearly an hour on the phone with this hostage, who shared her feelings of dying at the hands of police in a fucked up rescue operation. So she was on the phone saying the Prime Minister, your cops are going to kill me. She wasn't thinking about the hostage situation killing her. She was more afraid of how badly the cops were botching this. She later claimed that he told her that should she be killed during a police attempt to squelch the standoff, she should be content to have died at her post.
what? What is going on?
So says the Prime Minister of Sweden.
Why did that phone call last an hour? What were they talking about?
He was like, if you die, you die.
You should be honored to die, but our stupid police that
At
can't
our
figure
hands.
out anything.
In the end, 6.5 days into the crisis, police stormed into the bank with tear gas. Even though Jan Erik had threatened to kill the hostages, I think I called him Jan Erickson by mistake.
Yeah,
It's Jan Erik.
whatever.
Anyway, he had threatened to kill the hostages if they came in with a gas attack, and they took him into custody.
Did he kill anyone?
No.
Okay, good.
Not only were Swedes watching on television, but they had also gathered in the streets by that point. Authorities paraded Jan Erik before the crowds in a show of triumph. The hostages, however, particularly Miss Enmark, did not behave in a way that the police expected, as they appeared critical of the police and friendly towards the hostage takers. Consultant psychiatrist Niles, I'm not going to say his last name, I don't know how to pronounce that, who never met or treated Miss Enmark, explained it away as Normalstorg syndrome, which is the town that this happened in, which then came to be known as Stockholm syndrome. The application of the term was to the experience of Patty Hearst, who was kidnapped the year after the Stockholm heist, and appeared to have a similar reaction towards her situation, further cemented Stockholm syndrome in the American and international psyche. Without proper examination of the August 1973 events, it seems inconceivable that someone would identify with a captor over the authorities. Upon taking a closer look, however, it's not hard to see why two Swedish criminals may have seemed like a safer option for the hostages.
So, long story short, to sum this up, a bunch of fucking idiots fumbled everything, and then after all of it was resolved, another fucking moron comes up and he's like, must have been Stockholm syndrome.
Yep.
And then just like leaves.
Because they were so ignorant to their own fuck ups that instead of taking a hard look at the situation and saying, I think that our stupid actions really scared these hostages, they looked at it and said, there's something wrong with them. I don't get why they'd be acting this way. There's something wrong with them. And they pathologized their reaction instead of thinking, we fucked up.
So now I get to the three things. But also, one of them doesn't make any sense because, unless you tell me this, but James Ericks, whatever hell his name is, didn't fall in love with one of the hostages.
He felt sympathy for them.
Okay.
And he didn't hurt them. That's the argument.
But he just wanted to fuck Clark. That's all he wanted to do. So I mean, like, I don't get the problem here. If I don't get my sexy fuck buddy cellmate, I'm gonna wreak fucking havoc. Get me Clark now.
I'm gonna start shooting up these bitches if I don't get my sexy cellmate back in here right now.
Where is Clark? But like, and then the prime minister. Why was that phone call an hour? What the hell were they talking about?
Why were they allowed to talk to the prime minister?
How did they get the phone number? What was it in the phone book?
1973. They just Googled it.
And I can't believe this took place.
They pulled up their white pages.
If you had told me like this took place in the 1800s, I'd be like, you know what? That makes sense because like they didn't have like, I mean, they had cameras, but they didn't have like pictures of people like readily available. So like, if you mess up somebody, it's like, okay, like, I get it. It's the fucking 1970s. Like, you can get a Polaroid like whenever. Like, how do you mess that up?
I don't know.
There's so much wrong with that story.
And I don't think nothing in here said that the police saw the hostage taker.
So they never saw James.
They assumed based on his voice only. That's what I'm getting from this article. They assume based on the fake accent he put on that he was this guy that was actually in Hawaii.
Imagine like the police get in there and the person that had the hour-long phone call with the prime minister, they're just like, it's her, get her. It's like she's like the criminal.
Sounds like that's what she was afraid of happening.
You sound vaguely like this guy.
Best female voice and she gets shot because of it. That'd be crazy.
God. Hopefully the Swedish police got a little bit better.
So basically, this psychiatrist that was a consultant on the case, he never even met with the hostages before pathologizing their reaction. So Stockholm Syndrome isn't even research-based. This man did not interview the hostages. He did not speak to them in any way. He just took the basic information of the case and said, that's weird. Must be her fault.
I hate when that shit happens because it still happens like today. I wouldn't say to like that extreme, but like some fucking goober that has like no involvement with any of these people's lives is just like, yeah, they clearly have something wrong with them. And it's just like, you don't fucking know. Like, and it's like you never speak with them. You may have talked with them for like 5 minutes, but like, that's it.
I wanted to add a little bit more of information to explain the relational piece.
Okay.
According to Historum.com, the hostages did end up developing some attachment to Clark, but he was not part of the initial operation.
Clark was just so sexy. I want to see Clark.
They fell in love with him too. The bank clerks regarded him as a fellow hostage rather than a criminal. He never harmed them and actually provided far more comforting to the hostages than the police officers and politicians who were harsh when they communicated with the hostages. The hostages never sympathized with Jan Erik during the siege, but they did reconcile with him after its conclusion. So it's not like they were like, we love you, Jan Erik. We love you. Don't
I love you, Clark.
him.
Get over here, Clark.
Clark was prosecuted for his participation, but was acquitted because he didn't actually help this guy do anything.
Didn't they put him in the bank? All right, this is your fault, clearly. You went in there on your own volition and we pulled you out from jail.
Fucking crazy. So now I want to look at another view on this. Trying to think. Okay. A research article from the National Library of Medicine called "Appeasement: Replacing Stockholm Syndrome as a definition of a survival strategy." So now, this article from 2023 is promoting that we call some of the behaviors that are deemed Stockholm Syndrome, calling it appeasement and framing it to look at it as a survival strategy to avoid getting killed or battered rather than, oh, they're just falling in love with them. They're just so deluded by everything that's going on.
Well, that is a realistic and very smart take. So I can't really disagree with that. I had to say it's probably a lot better than the fucking moron psychologist that dubbed Stockholm syndrome.
Psychiatrist, this man was allowed to prescribe medications.
Oh wow, awesome! Yeah,
Even better.
he might have been on medication when he said that because
Yeah, well, God knows Freud was, so
yeah,
why not?
It seems like no one was there mentally during that situation. It seemed like everyone was like it was like the lights were on, but no one's home situation.
Yep. And we have let that stupid, baseless term still exist today. We still perpetuate that bullshit in popular media and conversations around popular media and conversations around real life events. And that's what pisses me off the most, is that we still use this term because there's no widespread story about how fucked up the origins of it are.
Yeah.
We don't talk about that enough. Nobody is asking where that term comes from. We're all blindly sharing it on social media. Oh, this person in an abusive relationship, Stockholm syndrome.
Well, I mean, just look at Beauty and the Beast. I mean, because when we picked this, we're like, it's a shoo-in for Stockholm syndrome, and I was
because that's what everyone says online.
And I was gonna come here with the argument, and I was gonna say I don't really believe it's Stockholm syndrome because I believe in their love, but after we researched it, we're like, or you researched this, and you were like, Stockholm syndrome doesn't exist.
This is fucking stupid as a concept. Not only is it not fitting, it's just fucking stupid.
So let's tie this back to Beauty and the Beast. Clearly, Belle should have fallen in love with Clark.
Well, he was so sexy that they let him out of prison. So, and then they tried prosecuting him.
So, authority. She doesn't really hate authority. The town kind of turns on her. So, Miss.
And could you blame her?
Yeah.
They tried to get her father thrown in an asylum.
Yeah, and then kill.
I'd be pretty pissed at the townspeople too.
And then kill her lover. But also,
she was literally saying, guys, I don't need your help. Please don't do this. And they were like, no, we're going to fucking kill him.
But she doesn't have resentment for them. I think she mostly just hates Gaston.
Yeah, which is totally fair.
Yeah. And then I guess they both feel sympathy and like each other, I guess. So Stockholm syndrome. There you go. Beauty and the Beast, Stockholm syndrome. All right, guys. No.
She was also very isolated in a big part of the time that she was held captive.
That's true.
She does not interact with him for a lot of it.
But yeah, and also they stayed in separate bedrooms, so definitely not Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah, because clearly that matters so much.
They have to be in the same bedroom. So all those people that made Stockholm syndrome Beauty and the Beast videos, delete it, buddy.
You're dumb. Do your research.
But clearly, you don't know about Clark here.
Mr. Sexy Clark.
Can we get Clark on the podcast? Is Clark still alive?
That's a good question. They probably sentenced his ass to death. It says that he wasn't acquitted for his prior crimes.
What's his last name? Clark?
I don't know. Let me pull it up.
Okay, I typed in Clark Stockholm syndrome. He's still alive. Guys,
no way. Wait.
He's 77 years old.
Netflix in 2022 put out a production called Clark.
Yeah, and it was played by one of the guy who plays Pennywise. Why am I blanking on his name?
Oh.
He does look kind of sexy. I mean, look at him.
Wait, let me see him.
He's kind of good looking.
Shit.
He kind of looks like
It's kind of tough.
Go for this guy, Clark Olfson.
Olsen. Yeah.
Olfson. Go for this guy, Clark. Please get on our podcast. Please reach out. Love to have you on the show.
I want to know if you were gay lovers. Why did Jan Eric want you there so bad?
Fucking Jan Eric. I need Clark right now. If I don't get Clark, I'm gonna fucking kill somebody.
They both proceed to kill absolutely nobody, and the cops were more to blame for how the situation persisted. Yay!
Is he still in jail? That's what I don't. That's what I want to know. I want to know if he's still in jail.
I do wonder what he was initially in jail for. Did he rob a bank prior? Because I feel bad if I was sitting here praising him and he had like killed someone before.
He married somebody in prison, but they divorced in 1999. But Clark is the father of 6 children from several women.
Damn.
But recent reports saying he's living in Belgium now. So I think he's out of jail.
Good for him.
Clark, please reach out. Love to have you on the show. I'll send a microphone to Belgium. I don't care. I'll get you on the show. I would
You
love
can
to
keep it too.
You can keep the microphone. I don't even care. I spend most of it on shipping. Yeah, usually we tie it back to the movie, but Clark's not in Beauty and the Beast. So
Sadly. I think, all we really need to say about this is that it doesn't fit because it's fucking stupid as a concept.
Right.
I don't think we really need to get much more into the specifics of why it doesn't align with the non-existent criteria because it's not a real thing.
I guess we could have a discussion on whether or not you think Belle falls in love with Beast as a coping mechanism, I guess, but I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Because I don't think Belle, if she was being treated the same as she was in the beginning, I don't think she would have fallen in love with Beast. I think she would just kind of live there passively. Obviously, she wouldn't have a good life,
she
but
continuously fights back.
Yeah.
She refuses to spend time with him. She insults him and calls out the ways in which he acts like an asshole.
Right. So,
if she really thought that she had to fall in love with him to keep him from hurting her, she wouldn't have fought back like that.
Yeah, exactly. So, no Stockholm Syndrome. No coping.
No Stockholm Syndrome, period.
No Clark.
Sadly.
I'm obsessed with Clark.
We need to put Clark on the daddy tier list.
Oh my God. I'm going to put Clark on the daddy tier list. Probably B tier. He is a criminal, so I'll put him on B tier.
Depends what his crime was.
I think it was robbery.
Oh, okay.
B tier.
He didn't hurt anyone.
Not that we know of.
Not that we know.
We didn't look too far into it. We just know he's hot. And James loved him. He is good looking. I think everyone should go look up Clark. And just look up Clark Stockholm Syndrome. You'll see a picture, and then you'll see a picture of, I'm blanking on his name completely.
Jan Eric.
No, not Jan Eric, the guy who plays him in the Netflix
Oh,
show.
okay.
Who plays Pennywise. I don't know why I'm blanking on his name so badly right now. But I don't really care.
We're gonna have to watch that though.
We will have to watch that. And then we can put Clark on the sexy tier list. So.
Yep.
Anyways, I think, does that cover it?
I think that covers it. What an episode. Really took us through a journey today.
I'm so glad you told that story, because that story was unbelievable. Quite shocking.
Wish I could say it was fictional.
It does seem like a fictional story. It sounds like you're describing a movie.
It's so absurd.
Oh, man. But anyways.
Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you for tuning in. As we said earlier, if you enjoyed the show, please share it with your friends and your family and your social media.
Leave us a comment.
Yeah,
share it to Clark. Tell Clark we're looking for him.
But yeah.
rate us very highly. Give
Rate
us
us high.
all of the stars.
True. As many stars as you can give. Um, but yeah, I hope everyone has a great day. And I love you, Clark. So
Bonjour.
bonjour.